welcome to another episode of The Kitchen Hacker. This week we're talking all about compound butters, how to save your herbs from your garden that has been going on all summer. So you have these nice herbs and you can dry them and we can freeze them. Another thing we like to do with them that is a little more complicated and also is a great way to infuse flavor is to make a butter out of it. Basically we're making a compound butter, so all you do is you're taking your ingredients, we're going to combine it with butter, in which case then we'll freeze it, which we can do up to 2 to 3 months, which is a great way to then be able to slice off little pieces of it, add it on top of different types of food as grilled steak or perhaps poultry. Today, for instance, we're going to be making lavender butter. So let's get started. You'll see here I got some great herbs from my garden. I got some nice thyme, I got some nice rosemary, and my favorite lavender. I can't tell you, my lavender bush has been going nuts out there this year, and it is just monster, and I can already get a lot of fragrance out of this. So I'm going to basically just make a very, very simple butter. How I do that is I just have my stick of butter that has been softened to room temperature. I cut some shallots, however you like to say it, very, very fine. Shallots are great because they give a nice kind of light onion flavor, but they don't bring any of the heat or that other kind of bitterness that comes with it, in which case I like to use them. And then we have some lavender. I have a little assortment here of both the chopped leaves, and I also have some of the flower buds, just because I like the color and everything else. How I will actually use this is going to be pretty cool. We'll take this, make the butter, and then this will get smeared under the skin of the turkey breast in between the meat and the actual skin itself. And what it's going to do is it's just going to baste the meat the whole time it's cooking in the oven, and it's just outstanding. So the process is very simple. I'm basically going to add that's 1 shallot worth, which is about 1.5 tablespoons, and then 1 tablespoon of the lavender. I'm just going to mix it up. Now you don't want to melt the butter, we just want to get it soft, so I left this out overnight on my counter. My cats left it alone, so it was all good. Just incorporate it well. If you're doing a large batch butter, you can absolutely use a stand mixer, but for the 1/4 pound I'm doing here, I just do it by hand. So now I got it nice and incorporated. I'm going to take my pastry bag. Now I talked about a tip on the blog about using a glass in a pastry bag. This is a great example. I have no tip in my pastry bag because all I want is a nice tubular shape to come out. And I fold that over so it seals it and drop that in the bottom of a glass. Fold the pastry bag over the glass rim. Now I don't have to hold the bag while I am doing this. We're going to scrape the butter into the bag just like that. We're going to set that aside for just a second because what I need now is some cling wrap. Now, the next step here is we're just going to pipe it out, and the idea is I want to have a way to store this in the freezer, but it's still accessible to be cut. If you have a Ziploc bag, you could put this into a Ziploc bag, take all the air out. I prefer this method. I think it looks better, and it saves me having to use Ziploc bags, which, let's face it, they're not free. So I'm just going to make a shape that's about the size of a stick of butter, and it's going to take me about 2 to 3 passes of the pastry bag. Just put 1 row, another row, and I just have a little bit left. It does not have to be perfect. The whole idea with using the pastry bag is just to keep it in a uniform size and shape. That's all I'm really trying to accomplish here. Now I have my butter piped. Now comes the fun part. Basically, we're going to roll this up, and we want to try and get all of the air out from inside there, so it's just the butter. Okay, so you can see here I have my butter in this middle section and plastic wrap. Just pinch right there, and then you start to twist to get it started. And you can see kind of have a little tube here of it. And all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tighten that down by rolling it. If it wants to cooperate. There we go. And what that's doing is that's just kind of tightening it up. And also do a little twisting. Alright, so now that I have this, I'm just going to tie off the ends. And then as you tie that knot, just kind of push it in to make it nice and tight. Cut off the ends, and there I have a perfect little stick of butter that I can throw in the freezer. I can pull it out in the fridge, I can cut from it frozen, in which case I'll make sure to rewrap it nice and tight and use it again. It's a wonderful way to bring flavor. If you're doing a nice sauce, you can mount it with the butter right at the end, a gravy or something like that. Just put a quick little pat in, pull it off the heat, whisk it in. It'll liven any sauce up, and it'll really give it a nice richness and depth that you might not get from your average everyday sauce in the home. That's one of those little tricks we do as a chef. So that's what I got for you today, how to make a compound butter. Couldn't be simpler. So join us next time on The Kitchen Hacker, where I help you cook like a pro.